Hello, my name is Kevin Greenwood. This is my presentation on Chapter 14 for planning presentations. All right, next slide. All right, this slide is the importance of planning presentations, promoting new business ideas. For example, bringing a new item to a menu, new to the menu. Um, Saying, "Hey, buy one get one free." You're promoting. You see them in newspapers all the time. Product performance. The best way to explain this one, you're showing how a product performs. For example, swimwear. Swimwear is going to be selling really well through spring and summer because you're on vacation, going to the beach and everything, and it's warm. You ain't going to sell much spring wear in the fall and winter. If you did a graph, you would see tremendous sales in spring and summer, and then a dramatic fall and winter because you don't go to the beach when it's cold. Introducing new business policies or keeping employees up to date or managers. For example, with this COVID-19 going on, there's some companies requiring people to wear a mask when they work. This is a new business policy. Selling a product, you're pitching idea, you're selling your product, showing ways how you can sell the product, or showing a company you want them to sell your product in their stores. Basically, by using presentations, one can introduce your topic and allow ideas and allow the audience to understand your ideas. Next slide. The aim planning process for presentations. You'll see 4 on here. You have audience, information, message, and planning. Audience access those who will be addressing and adjust your tone in a way that is appealing to them to understand. If the audience is an older group, you're probably going to want to talk more louder and everything. If you have college students, they're just like seniors, for example, or getting out in the new world trying to find jobs, and you come here and show them a presentation on what their company is, you want to sell that to them. So, hey, come work for our company. You get this, that. You don't sell like you love working there. Information, main facts that you need to be addressed related to your topic. Basically, facts that support what you're talking about. Messages. Message is the main takeaway from your topic. What is the message you want your audience to take away? Say, for example, working. Hey, you come work for the college students. Hey, you come work for us. You get these benefits. You get paid this amount, etc. Like that. Next slide. All right, this slide is analyzing your audience and gather the right information. First thing is the hardest thing. One of the hardest things to understand about a presentation or planning for a presentation is your audience, because you never know how big your audience is going to be, who's in your audience, and you got to be prepared for that and stuff. Number 2, when planning for your presentation, make sure you are benefiting from it. For example, say you're doing a presentation, you're on a restaurant, and you usually give your presentation to like your company, your coworkers, saying, "Hey, we have a really big menu right now, and I want to do a graph showing which items sell the best, which items are the best sellers, so we can see which items are best sellers, so we can cut down on the menu and just sell those, and that will cut down our food costs and everything." This third bullet point, you need to research your audience. For example, if you're going to go to a college, you want to research that you're going to sell it. Them students are going to be understand you more. You can use bigger words and stuff like that. If you go to, say, an elementary school and give a presentation, you want to make it very simple, very easy to understand for them kids, because they can't comprehend as well as high school or college students. Part 2 of the next slide, part 2 of analyzing your audience and gather the right information. The first bullet point, you need to be prepared for the audience to ask questions about your presentation. You need to be prepared for any type of question about, even if it's on one of the slides in your presentation or something off your presentation about it. They're going to ask you to go more in depth. What's your thoughts and things like that. Number 2, bullet point 2, don't be very controversial with your presentation. You don't want to be very opinionated, saying like your opinion matters and nobody else's does, because the audience first are going to lose interest and you're thinking that you're better than them. Third bullet point, planning presentation is important. How you appeal to your audience, what they will take away from it. If when you plan for your presentation, you're talking and you sound very into it, you very confident in what you're talking about, the audience will see that and take away from it like, hey, he knows what he's talking about, he's very confident. On the other hand, you're not prepared, you're like jumbling around, don't know what to talk about, kind of nervous, the audience is just going to lose interest very quick and be like, he don't know what he's talking about. Bullet point 4, learning styles for your audience important. There's 3 different learning styles. There's visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learners. Visual is basically they learn by graphs and charts. So if you have that group, you want to have a bunch of graphs and charts in your presentation so they can learn. Auditory learners are probably the easiest one because they learn by listening. You just gotta make sure you speak very clear and you're very detailed about it so they can understand, take a good takeaway message. Kinesthetic learners are hands-on. So if you have a hands-on audience, you need to like give a presentation and do an activity for about 5 to 10 minutes so they can learn it. Next slide. This slide is called Develop Your Message. Make your message clear to your audience and supporting evidence. You're pitching a new business idea and you want to expand, and you show companies when they expanded how they did. If they did really well, your evidence show how they did that. If you have evidence backing your statement you made, people are going to gravitate towards it. You want to narrow down the takeaway message also. You want to have like very little takeaway message. Like you want to have like 3 main issues you want the audience to take away. You don't want like 12 because that's going to be very hard to remember. 3 is going to be very simple. Bullet point 3. You need a preview, a view, and a review of your presentation. Preview is what you do before your presentation starts. You basically give a short introduction like, hey, this is my name, this is my presentation, this is what we're going to talk about, and these are my beliefs. The view is just to view your presentation. This is which is going to take the longest time. The review is when you're done, you go back over it, but you hit like short and sweet, short bullet points on what you talked about. You don't want to take too long with this. Attention grabber for planning presentation. Attention grabber is very important even with anything. Attention grabber is basically you have something at the start of your presentation or during your presentation that catches the attention of the audience and keeps their attention. If you don't have this, your audience is going to be very bored. Your presentation is clear and easy to understand. Basically saying the audience can understand it, it's clear, it's not jumbled up in a mess. Last point, overview statement is basically telling your audience what are the points you're going to talk about in your presentation. This is going to happen in preview. You're going to be like, this is my presentation, and these are the points I hit, yada, yada, yada. Basically that. Next slide. This slide is design and appeal slides. Make sure your presentation is visual and appealing to your audience. You don't want a boring slide, like just plain white as you can see on this photo. And next bullet point, make sure the audience is paying attention. For example, in this picture, you see before, it's just a plain, it just says social media followers. And it has Facebook with a number of 14,000, Instagram 4,500, and Twitter 3,900. That's going to be, and it's just a plain white, it's just numbers. They're going to lose interest in this and think it's very important. You look on the after, you see the same with a big picture. You have the Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter logo. You have the number, everything. This right here is going to grab the audience more attention because it looks like you put in more time with the presentation. You're going to see that before than the other one. Next slide. Appealing the storyline approach to your presentation. Make your presentation have a story on a personal level. Bullet point, make sure your story has a plot, setting, and resolution. This story shouldn't last 30 seconds to a minute. Basically, you give a story about you had a business problem that went on, and that's the plot. And the setting is where it took place, what time. And the resolution is like what you took away from this business problem and what you learned and how it bettered you in business later on. The story is basically just a short, sweet thing to get your point across by a story. Next slide. This slide is reviewing your presentation for fairness and effectiveness. As this picture you can see, there's 4 of them on this picture. You get feedback, fair test, proofread, and review. All right. On the first one, always spell check and read over your presentation several times before considering it complete. This is very important because you don't want to give a presentation and like the first 3 words are misspelled, because the audience is going to look at like he didn't take no time in this. He don't know what he's talking about at all. If you have a very detailed PowerPoint, you just explain everything, you have pictures, visual, the audience is going to see you took time into this presentation. Bullet point 2. Make sure your resources are correct and that your technology works correctly. Your sources, make sure that your sources are credible. You don't want a source that somebody for Wikipedia use Wikipedia for a source, and everybody knows Wikipedia ain't really a reliable source. You want like a scholarly source, a source that backs it from like a professor, another business, things like that. And make sure your technology works, because you don't want to have a video on there and you're going to show it to them and you wouldn't get there and the video's deleted. It ain't there no more, because that's going to make you look like you needed a video and you just threw it in there, and the audience is going to tell that. Third bullet point, encourage feedback from colleagues and from clients is a good way to improve your presentation. This is good. We see it even in school, even college now. We do a presentation and they grade it and see how our presentation is, how we talk to them, what we showed in the presentation. This allows you to see what you did good, what you did bad, and what you can improve on your next presentation you give. This is the best learning style for giving a presentation. Next slide. This is just my sources. I used the book it was assigned for this class, which is Business Communication Developing Leaders for Network World. This is my presentation for chapter 14. Thank you for watching.